All right, welcome, folks. Mil Spec Ops Monkey here. It is 11 a.m. Central Time coming to you from the great state of Texas. It is 10/17/2022. And without further ado, we're going to hop on over the board. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification for all the latest and greatest. And today, we're actually going to be digging in on some of the Recon that's been going on around the world. It'll just kind of paint that picture for us relative to what is going on as we lead up to World War III, really. That's the reality of all of this. So now we're currently kicking off in Skyglass. It is showing about mil aircraft up, about 301 showing. Last load was 446. So it's a, average, a little bit higher than average day from a mil standpoint. Now let's get into our watch list. We'll see what we've got going on out there. Starting it out here. We'll kick it off in Europe first and foremost. And you can see we got that British R135 running some routes there, headed out towards the Black Sea, kind of moving along that Moldova area as he's headed kind of southeast from England. Then we get over here, we've got one of our sentries up and our regular mil intel balloons. Let's get over to the U.S. You can see a little light right now, but that'll pick up as the day goes on. But you can see it is, we got our usual suspects. That's going to be one of your gray birds. They seem to be getting active again. Remember, those are agency birds. In 721, that thing's been in maintenance. We haven't seen it fly in a little while, but it is airborne, and we'll look at that closer in a minute as well. That's going to be your FBI, by the way, or AKA Gestapo. And then we've got that's another gray bird. Again, those are agency birds. They all are headed westbound today. Then we've got our normal little P-8 flurry that launches out of Jacksonville Naval Air Station. And Sparse 16, I believe that one is tied to Fancy Pants Belosi, a.k.a. the Drunk Goat. She looks to be headed westbound out of D.C. There was a lot of SAM movement this weekend, which is... those are going to be your blue and whites, and they were headed all over the place from Europe to the United States, westbound. A lot westbound stuff going on today. Last night, yesterday evening. Again, those are going to be special air mission SAM flights. Those are your U.S. Air Force blue and whites. They also go as the spars. It just depends who's on them, really. But okay, so we looked at our watch list. Let's get over here and take a look at the heavy lift activity. Europe is hotter than a junkie spoon. You can see a lot of stuff going on over there. Seems to be the main thing. Now, these are the last 24-hour traces, heavy lifts. So that's C-17s, A-400s, C-130s, C-5s. Notice we do have some stuff going on there in India, on kind of the northern side, just kind of to the southwest of Nepal. We've got a C-17 Brit headed down into, looks to be Southeast Asia, and I'll show you some other stuff going on down there in a minute too. But again, a lot of replan, a lot of troop positioning happening right now in Europe, and so it continues to just day by day, we just keep adding to the fire, so to speak. All right, over to Japan, see if we got anything going on there. It is light. Showing two of them up right now. We'll look closer at Guam, etc. But only two C-17s going on right now over that general area. Now we get into the refuelers. We can take a quick gander here. You can see the little bit of activity. We do have a warning area down south right there, kind of across from that Tijuana border off of Baja. We had some activity up over the weekend, some air refueling going on, so that would indicate fighter presence. Then you get up here northeast, again, as always, because we know Flashbang was at home this weekend and not at the Senior Living Center. So we get over to Europe, pretty light from a air refueling perspective, heavier than it's been, but light compared to what we normally see. So I got some stuff over Portugal, a little bit of stuff over kind of Morocco area, you can see those little tracks where they're doing the turns. That's they're doing refueling there with fighters more than likely. Don't forget we've got F-22s, F-35s, F-16s, all kinds of stuff in the area, and everything's getting serviced out of, for the most part, out of Europe, from England and Germany are the two kind of main support function areas, feeding those fighters that are over in Poland mainly, and Bulgaria, etc. Okay, let's get on down. Let me make sure I covered everything on there. All right, let's talk R-135 last 5 days, because this is going to be our reconnaissance efforts. Just notice this one is running along, just right along that Ukrainian border up near Belarus. That's because we got a lot of movement in Belarus right now. There's some mobilization going on over there. And then we've got this one that's kind of running along that Moldova area as well. Areas of concern. We do have one little sighting there, and it went dark. It went up and then went dark and then came back. That is in just south of Japan, and that may be due to North Korea getting ready to do some more launching. Then we get over here to the United States. We had one that kind of flew right up over D.C. area. That was actually a RC-135U, and it is not a sniffer. I said it was a sniffer. I didn't see the U on the back end of that. The U aspect of it is actually picking up radar signatures and et cetera, basically from our enemy, if they were out there monitoring our stuff on the coastline. So it does a lot of other things besides that, but that was one of the main deals on it. So, all right, so we talk R-135s. That's the last 5 days that we just watched. Now let's get over to the 5-day from a sub hunter. We were going to look at this on Friday, but Skyglass had crashed, and from a server perspective, so we didn't get a chance to pull the history, and it is back up and running today. So I've got, you can see, doing a little bit of work out over the Gulf of Mexico, off of the East Coast, right there near Cape Canaveral, which is Lockheed Martin. They've got the Trident program right there, so that's probably what that's associated with. And then you get up, we get a little north of that. You can see you got some stuff coming off the coast of kind of south of Virginia Beach, off the Carolinas. And then we got this one that's running up and down in that Chesapeake Bay area. Again, that is kind of common to see them in there, but we've had some uncommon sightings. So we're baselining this because this will give us an idea when we start getting some of the Russian subs in an area where it's a concern. Now, Hawaii had a couple P-8s up in the last 5 days. You can see, looks like that one was just doing some touch and goes, rolling out of Oahu, headed over to the Big Island. And let's get over to Japan, see if we've got any sub-hunter activity there. I'm not seeing anything. At least they're not showing. And from there, we'll get over to Europe, because that'll start to tell the story, because they'll be looking for stuff there before we're looking for it here. Yeah, got a little activity off of the southern tip of the UK and up the northern tip. You can see it running out over the water. That is kind of some into that deep water area, probably looking for some Russian subs, if I had to guess. And then let's see if we've got anything else. Nothing catching my eye, except for, at least not from the Mediterranean. We did have one roll out of UAE westbound. Oh, and then we got one down here near Malta, which is looking for something. Now, keep in mind, too, that the Malta aspect, Dutch Sense just sent me a message late last week, that there was a very rare earthquake in that exact area. And it registered, I think, 4.9. So could we have had an underwater explosion? Maybe. But just pointing that out. I don't have any other facts besides that. But when he and I are on the same page, it was the pipeline for one, and then the Malta deal for the other. So we'll just keep our ear to the ground and see if something happened. You probably would never hear about it for a long time to come. But nonetheless, it's just another data point for you, okay? All right, let's take a look at the drones. Again, this just kind of paints that picture. These going to be those Q4, Q9 Global Hawk kind of drones. As you can see, running right over Istanbul, over Turkey, running out of Malta. And those are going to be the mains. Now, we got that little one drone. You can see a little footprint there, signature out over Portugal. And then if we get up a little further, you got some stuff going on here over Cyprus, just to the west of Israel. Okay, over the United States, we only had one, and let's look at Japan first. Nothing over Japan, which is what we kind of expected. And we get over to CONUS, the continental United States, and you can see we've got one up north that just kind of went up and came back down. Not really anything to that. So But again, that's going to be one of those Q4, Q9 drones. That could have been because Custom Border Patrol uses those as well. That could have been their activity up there. Okay, let's see here. We talk drones, talk sub hunters. Now we talk civilian spy stuff. Nothing over the United States right now. Now, these are third-party contractor work, kind of like Brio 68, but the Swedes like to use them. So we'll see what they're up to. They look to be very interested in the Ukrainian border and Belarus side, as well as Kaliningrad, as always. And then you can see they shoot up north here, do little routes. They're looking at stuff in Russia, right up there along that border. But this is Russia right here underneath my mouse, as you can see, this general area, and then up here. And so it looks like the Swedes are looking at them closely. But that will do for our reconnaissance aspect. Again, looks to be heavily focused in the same areas that we've been talking about for a while. But those areas are continuing to get busy. And what they do is they'll basically fly over and map any new assets, movement of assets from the Russian perspective, so that we can track them and know what's going on. Probably, if I had to guess, they got their eyes on things like surface-to-air missiles, troop movements, and nukes if they are in the area. And then, of course, they're taking snapshots of stuff sitting on runways and in hangars. You know that. So, okay. Now, let's get over here to the weather side of the house. We've got a couple things we're going to talk about. We'll look at the weather mods. We've got the one in Japan firing. These are going to be ash alerts for pilots. Our normal folks down here in South America into Central America, Sanjay down here to this Navados de Chilean. That one's kind of spewing pretty heavily from an ash perspective. Same thing here in Peru. But let's back it up. We do have another showing here, Stromboli. And that's going to be the one in Italy. That's close to Etna. Etna's, I think, actually over on this side of it. But this is a water, looks to be a water one, or at least one on an island out here. But I'm not getting any. Yeah, it's a little island out here. But nonetheless, it's not Etna. Etna's the big one that typically pops off on a regular basis. But Stromboli is one that we see from time to time. So that's going to be from an ash perspective, the volcanic alerts. And so let's get over now, take a look at the weather modification flights. Now, remember, the ones we're looking at right here are going to be Weather Mod LLC. They are basically cloud seeders. Okay, they're out there doing work as a third party. I'm going to point out a couple things that you're going to notice where they have been. So you got the one that spiked up. Now, this is the last 5 days. You've got one spiked up. It looks like it came out of Eugene, Oregon. And we know, let me pause that for just 1 second, because who was just in Oregon? Yeah, POTUS was there. So are they up there trying to give them some clear skies? I've had folks say that these are the cloud seeding is strictly for rain. I don't agree with that. I have not, just based on what I'm looking at from a weather radar perspective, it can do both. It can dry it up and it can make it rain. And that's just from an observation perspective, because I'll see them do like they're doing right here in that Chicago area, south of Chicago. And then you come back and it'll either be raining cats and dogs, or it'll be a high pressure now dominating over the area. But remember, who's in Chicago? Yeah, that's right, the Kenyan. So look at the spots where these guys go. Could they be giving them some preferential treatment? Hey, we don't want, you want rain this weekend? You want it dry? I don't know. But over Delaware, who's there? That's the president, right? He's up there. You get down over Florida and Louisiana, you got some stuff going on there. Again, weather modification flights, they're doing cloud seeding stuff, okay? So, and then you get over to Europe, there's really nothing going on over there from the Middle East perspective. We have seen them there, though. So that takes us over here to the NOAA flights. We'll see if we got anything airborne, not showing anything currently. However, I had a follower send me some information that was going on down over Merritt Island, Florida, and that general area late last night into the wee hours of the morning. And it caught his attention because, one, he tracks flights. Two, he lives in the area and he was listening to the flights go overhead. And This is N79W. This is actually a third party contracted by NOAA. They put a NOAA sticker on there, but notice this thing is down here. This is Melbourne, Florida, Merritt Island right here, running these routes back and forth. Now, if we get into the altitude, this is a third-party company called Dynamic Avlease Inc. But look at the altitude on this. But just notice the deviation in the altitude lines, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then it pops up to about 1,500 feet. But this bad dude was down below I mean, you're talking below 500 feet in many cases throughout this. Very, very low. Running these routes. Again, look at the flight time on this. 12:15 in the morning and till 2:17 a.m. So if you're in this general area, you're going to hear it. Now, could they have been contracted to look for somebody? Maybe you had somebody escape from a prison and they're using some of that, not LiDAR, but infrared capabilities. Maybe. But they didn't just have one, they had multiple. So here's N72J, same company, contracted under NOAA. But notice this one's up, this time up over New Smyrna Beach to the north of Merritt Island. So the other one was to the south. But it was running from 1:20 a.m. till 3:17 a.m. And again, you can look at the deviation and everything below 1,000 feet, very, very low. You know, drug runners, there's no telling. This area of Vieira, running all the way out, kind of get into it. You can see Rockledge here, Vieira, where they were running these long runs. And then they did a little bit of circling here and then headed up here north just to the west side of New Smyrna Beach and south of Daytona. But you can see that is definitely wee hours of the morning. Don't know what they're doing, but they are NOAA birds. All right. And then here's a third one. So it didn't just stop at those two flights, but here's this third one right here, just to the north of Titusville. You can see landed about 9 hours ago, but 2:50 a.m. till 2:20 a.m. Up and back near New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Again, this is the beaches out here. So this is actually US 1, and this is it's kind of an interesting deal. Not too much out there, but a bunch of swamp and at least in this area, woods and swamp and things like that. Now you get down south here near Vieira, and you got neighborhoods and golf courses and stuff. That's all been newly built. Yeah, just a data point for us. Again, you get things from time to time that make you kind of go, what are they up to? And it just goes to show you the broad range of capabilities, because they could very well be, they could be tied to surveillance, helping, the local, they could have been drug runners, could have been a down plane, could have been any kind of thing where they bring them in to look for stuff. Could have been Club Ks out there. There's no telling. I mean, don't forget, right here, you've got, the Port Canaveral, and you've got Project Pelican. That's a 40-year lease with a UAE company called Gulf Tainer, who has close ties to the manufacturer of the Club K Soviet missile system. Now, would they do something like with the LiDAR or whatever it may be? There's no telling. Looking at containers, don't know. Again, just a couple of suggestions. I'm throwing them out there just for stimulate some thought, but could be anything. Like I said, these guys have a great deal of capability. And again, it's not specifically NOAA. It's a third party that works with NOAA called Dynamic Avlease Inc., but they are considered NOAA birds, okay? All right, over here to the NASA Airborne Science Program. Don't have anything up currently at the moment. This was our last flight right here. Again, Dynamic Aviation, that's N87Q, and that is tied to the NOAA birds, okay? But again, look at them running out here. The only thing this doesn't show is altitude, so it's kind of hard to tell really how high they were, what they were up to. All right, let's get over here to Flashbang's schedule. We can talk a little bit about what he is up to. Looks like he's coming back home from Newcastle, Delaware today. Evidently had some beautiful, great weather. If we get over and look at what's going on from the radar perspective, you can see the TFR here is where he was headed back into Senior Living Center. And then if we get into the Chicago area, where we were just looking at the weather modification stuff, This is kind of the side that they were doing it. And you'll just kind of notice they were doing some stuff here in Louisiana. And we got a little bit of rain coming in. And then a lot of stuff over this general area. Now, what is this? These look to be flash flood warnings. And this, so the birds we were just looking at kind of range from this general area up to this general area. And let's see what this is all about right here, just out of curiosity. Air shows. Maybe they're coming in to give them some clear weather. I don't know. But the air show doesn't look to be anytime. It's soon. Another air show. Yeah, we're getting into air show season. I know we've got one coming up here out at Alliance in Fort Worth as well on the 20th. And so, actually, let me see what the date is on that. Not showing. Where are you? Yeah, it's not giving me. I know it's on there, but I'm missing it. So, all right, I won't spend a lot of time there. But we do know that is coming up nonetheless. But yeah, you can see this is what's going on weather-wise across the U.S. All of these H's, like I said, I think these guys are putting stuff in that dries up the air. Just my opinion. And it's but then right now we do have one active. If you go back to our map, we've got a over on Skyglass. We do have one up over Texas right now that we were just looking at, and that is going to be. Let me see if he's still up. Hop out of this. Let's hop over here to this side, and we're going to turn on our mast. And this one we're going to hit up clear, and let's just load our watch list. But we do have one over Texas, and as you saw, there's a lot of rain and weather going through right now over that general area. So, all right, give it a second here. Let's load in our watch list. Okay, we're going to get over here. Let's talk Flashbang for a minute. We'll come back to this in just a second as we start to kind of get into the details of it. Again, there's another one of your Dash 8 de Havillands. That's going to be Homeland Security. And then I'm not seeing the weather one up at the current moment. It was, see if it just takes a minute to load. Yeah, this was the one right here that was actually loading on there. N249KP is now, it's okay. That's all right. It was worth a shot. Okay, so let's get into Flashbang. Here he is. Let's see what his words of wisdom are for today. Let's get over to the Flashbang word salad as we go.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
2 words. 2 words.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
Yeah, guy is sharp as a tack. 2 words. Made in America. All right, so here's what we got going on. We've been hearing a lot of stuff about Haiti, and looks like the U.S. is now sending armored vehicles in to help Haiti fight criminal actors. As you can see, this guy with his, this looks like a blue cape. We got the Cape Crusaders out with their machetes. Remember, not too long ago, these are the same dudes that were coming across our border that they've been sending back to Haiti. So looks like that is more of the same going on down there. And then let's move on over here to NATO nuclear drills featuring B-52s to begin today. We'll continue to watch the general area. I haven't seen any B-52s up at the moment. I do have all of them loaded into my watch list, but from time to time, they just don't want to show. And so we probably will not see them unless they want to be seen. So nonetheless, we start throwing these up over the area. That's kind of a telltale sign what we are up against here in the near future. All right. Okay, moving on over here to NATO initiates a 10-year plan to rebuild Ukraine's military defense industry. Yeah, what they're trying to do basically is we've got a hodgepodge of stuff going into the region. Half of it's Soviet, half of it's U.S., some of it's the U.K. stuff. But they're trying to get them off of the Soviet dependency and loading in Western equipment. It's basically a giant military stimulus package going in for all the NATO countries in reality. Okay. And so I'm sure once this stuff is all said and done, Russia will then spend time getting our stuff out and putting their stuff in. All right. So, you know, it's coming. All right. That'll be our Bohica moment. Okay. China orders evacuation of all citizens still in Ukraine. Yeah, that is definitely something up because we know China and Russia are talking. Probably a good indicator that this thing's going to go hot. and I mean really hot from maybe a nuclear perspective. Let's take a look at the Ukrainian map as we talk about this. Now, I pulled this off of the phone app because it is way more reliable than the website one. And so this is just today, last 24 hours, reaching up to the last like 8 minutes or so. But you can see very, very active. And notice as we get into that, let me do this too. This is a, all of those blues that you see are airborne, are basically sirens letting you know there's an airborne attack coming in. But it is, again, it is definitely on the uptick. Okay. All right. Now, this is a data point for you. Think about this. Sweden is now refusing to show Nord Stream attack data, opts out of the joint EU investigation. What did they find? What were they told? If you proceed with this, we're going to basically put the hurt on you. You need to back away. And so it looks like somebody put the fear of God in them, and they have since stepped back from covering it and talking about it. And they don't want to share any of their data. I would imagine they found out that that we were heavily involved, and thus the thug tactics. Hey, we're going to we'll sanction you. Who knows what we're going to do? But nonetheless, that is an indicator that somebody got the daylight scared out of them, and they don't want to talk about it. So, all right, onward and upward. Belarus to host nearly 9,000 Russian troops. Yeah, we were talking just the other day about some mobilization efforts going on over there. It looks like Belarus is about to get engaged in this. It can change the dynamics quite a bit. We'll look at the map here in a minute, but that is just a key indicator that Belarus is getting ready to jump into this with both feet. All right. Now, Saudis announced $400 million in Ukraine aid after Biden said U.S. reevaluating its ties with the kingdom. It looks like a little olive branch going back and forth. And yeah, if you may have been watching on Friday, but the Saudis basically with OPEC basically threw Biden under the bus. And so it looks like there's a little bit of a touch and go right now happening, trying to repair some of that. But we know the G20 summit's coming up, and we've already heard that the Flashbang administration doesn't have two words to say to the Saudis. But at the end of the day, we need them because we got their air bases. And if anything goes hot in the region, we need that area to help us out from a strategic standpoint. So we probably need them more than they need us. Let's be honest. All right. Okay, let's get over to the NOTAMs. You can see this is the area we were talking about with the tanker air refueler activity going on right off of that border. It looks like we got some fighters up. This is a warning box. So is this up here. Not an exercise, but a warning box. That is definitely different than a MIL-op or an exercise. And then you get over here, this same thing. This is a warning box. So I don't know what they've got going on, but we're seeing a lot of sub-hunter activity in this general region. Wouldn't be surprised based on the data that I've been watching if we've got a carrier sitting out here as well. And then these are also warning boxes up here off the East Coast. All right. And then this, you may remember last week we were looking at some Navy P3 activity here south of Halifax. It looks like that is another danger area that has been activated. All right. Now let's get over here to the EU. You will see we do have some new boxes here in Europe. Notice there are a lot of border boxes too, and we'll see that over on the Asian side of the house. But again, you get up into this general area. It looks like that's where some of the NATO exercises are going hot out here, NATO exercise. And not too much up there in Russia side. It doesn't want to load for me, but this again in here is actually getting very, very active. And then this down off of, this is the area where they were looking with the subs and things. And then in here, they're looking for stuff or have been. So this could have been where we had some of that naval, the Russian sub activity that could be tied to that Dutch Sense report of a very rare earthquake down on this side. The volcanic stuff is over here on this end with Stromboli. So I don't think they're related. All right. Okay. Let's get over to Asia. These are interesting. I don't know what these are. These are typically the kind of lines that you would see associated with a NOTAM. not a NOTAM, sorry, a border NOTAM. And I don't, let's see what this is. Just basically says through the 18th, there's going to be a temporary restriction in play. But it's just kind of strange to see that shape along those areas. Okay. Then we get down into this area outside of Japan, very active as always, and active here as well. And then, of course, the Chinese got the Taiwan surrounded still with their naval deployments. All right. Now, this is the area where we just saw that UK bird coming in, and as well as we have some activity with the C-102, which is going to be our Secretary of Homeland Security coming down here too. I'll show you that flight at the very end, but it kind of ties together what we see going on. Okay. All right. Look at the NATO naval vessels. Say that 3 times real fast. And looks like you can see still very active in the areas. A lot of folks in port right now, all around Norway, all around Sweden. We get into the area where the pipeline is. You can see we still have warships, pretty heavy presence of warships in the area. And then we've got something over here in Kaliningrad that looks to be a Soviet boat, Russian boat. I will be right one day in the future, I'm sure, because they are definitely bringing back that's their goal, is the Soviet Union. So, but for now, it's Russia. And then stuff going on here in the Black Sea. You can see we've got quite a bit of stuff in the Constanta area port, and then over here in Crimea as well. All right, moving out over here to Bitdefender, week number 5 of us getting totally hammered. You can see a lot of stuff still coming inbound to the United States, more so than anywhere else. You look at locations being attacked, the U.S. is numero uno. Okay. And over here to the troop movement, here is Biggs Army Airfield. This is going to be right here in the corner of Texas near El Paso. And you can see we've got National Cargo coming in, United Airlines coming in, and a Camber flight coming in from Perot. And then outbound, looks like Camber's headed to Baltimore, Washington, Alexandria. So this NCR looks to be picking up folks from the border side, taking them to the 72-hour holding facility. And then United Airlines headed to Houston Bush. All right. Ramstein, the other side of the house here. Now, you can notice Atlas inbound, another reach. Don't know what that one is. And another reach, and then National Cargo. And that one is a 747-400. That's a big bird. And it looks like, let me see. This one, the National Cargo turned into a Camber flight. So that's probably moving troops to unknown. And then we got just one reach rolling outbound. Okay. Now this is the side where everything seems to be just piling up right here. This is in Poland. And if you look at the board of arrivals, we kind of get through it. Camber flight. The Brits coming in, German Air Force coming in, Camber flight. So we've got 5, looks like 5 troops, troop birds coming in, or it could also be, equipment like explosives, etc. And then this one here, National Cargo coming in. So very, very active with U.S. stuff. And then that's just on the arrival board. Here's the stuff that's en route. And that looks like it's okay. Nothing there. And then this is the outbound. This is Caleta Air. So those are 747s, the solid white 747s coming out, leaving. That one's headed to Istanbul. This one's headed to Amsterdam. Let's see if we've got anything else. German Air Force. Yeah, another Caleta bird, Istanbul. So we've got 2 headed to Istanbul out of that location. Again, Poland is getting racked and stacked with troops and equipment. And then this is going to be your Navy stuff. These are going to be basically logistics birds. Looks like we had 2 arrivals coming into Guam, and then 1 headed to Saipan from there, and then 1 Camber flight headed down to Australia, 777-200. We are seeing the U.S. start to branch out and load assets in Australia. I will tell you that is also strategic because there is a missile range down there that's tied. There's only a handful of them actually that the U.S. uses. One's coming off of Africa, one's Kwajalein, one's Vandenberg, and the other is Australia. Those are kind of the primaries. We've got a lot of hypersonic missile programs going, and so that is key for us. If we're setting up assets down there, we're loading in a lot of missiles and things like that in the region, from what I've been reading. Not surprising, because we're going to need that missile range for our hypersonic testing. Okay. All right. Get on over here to the camber flights. Again, look at this. Very, very busy stuff in Middle East, Europe, heading across the drink, coming back inbound the U.S., headed northbound U.S., coming back into the U.S. You can see 6 camber flights up right now. Most of those, more than likely, are troops. Okay. So we are very, very active in troop movement. This is going to be your Omnis. Again, very active in troop movement today. We've got 4 Omni flights moving stuff all over the U.S. and inbound and outbound from a CONUS perspective. Brits, a little light today. Only 2 flights up right now. They look to be coming out of Europe, down here near Bulgaria, headed back, probably back to England, because of that green dot is illuminated. So, right. Navy logistics, talked a little bit about that a minute ago. These are coming out of San Diego. We've only got 2 of them airborne right now. Look to be CONUS, staying domestic. The Ruskies, 2 on the board, RSD-6 and RSD-91. This one is coming out of Saudi. Now imagine that. Think about what we just talked about, the fact that the Saudis are butthurt level bravo with the United States. We're not on talking terms. And who is jumping in to fill that void? The Ruskies. Not a coincidence. And so don't be surprised if we don't get edged out and these guys come in into the Saudi aspect of it, okay? Which would align with Ezekiel 38, because the U.S. is part of all of that, all right? And then it looks like another one here rolling out of is that, that's going to be Moscow, headed westbound. All right. Here's your only SAM flight. We were tracking it a minute ago. I think that is Fancy Pants Pelosi, airborne, coming back from D.C. Again, we had a flurry of SAM flights last night and SPAR flights leaving D.C. yesterday, not coming inbound. So eyes on that one. Could be a future data point. Why are they all leaving town? All right. N721 landed 18 minutes ago. Where did they land? Wichita, Kansas. So it looks like these guys have left the building as well. This is going to be your Gestapo headed westbound into Kansas. Again, we haven't seen this plane fly in quite some time. And then the C-102. Remember, this is going to be your Secretary of Homeland Security. This is that bird right here. And they have been changing aircraft on us quite a bit lately. One of them went into overhaul, and this looks to be back up and flying. But notice down here into Southeast Asia, that's where we just saw the British flight coming inbound as well. Looks like they are getting together down here in this area. Why Homeland Security? Why the UK? Got a little MI6 activity going. We'll see. Something happening down here that they're needing to meet instead of being in the US. So, all right, listen, that is going to wrap us up for today's show. I know I went a little bit long, but my apologies for that. Got a lot of moving pieces. This reconnaissance is going to be key to what is going on in the world as you watch them start to worry about certain areas and looking at assets. That's going to give us a good indicator on what areas are probably going to go hot first and foremost. So, guys, be safe out there. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.